Welcome everybody who's joining us now. I see a good mixture of OG players, developers, artists, moderators are in here. It's always great. We never feel alone. Right, we've got a bit of a trickle happening now. I think without further ado, we're going to reveal the mighty carrot counter. So, carrot counter, Harry, do you want to jump on and say hello to the crowd?
More than happy to, Adam. It's been, for me, a long time coming. I'm so excited to be joining the project full time this week. I've been working in the shadows for the past 6 months, advising the guys, working closely with the team, and now the dream has come true where I am now full time Sunflower Land and couldn't be more excited to grow this game.
Love to hear it, mate. I want to, so yeah, as of Monday, it became official that Harry will be joining our team. He is a fellow Aussie and is the first non-engineer Australian, which is very unique. He over the last 6 months, he's been handling a lot of the legal, the accounting, a lot of the operation side of things. He's the reason we won the blockchain award for Australia, and so he's definitely been making a huge impact. And for our plans that we had for 2023, it made sense to bring him on board and sort of use him as much as we can. And so, yeah, as of yesterday, he came on full time. It's his second day in, and he's still surviving and loving the project. There'll probably be a few questions that come in the farmers chat. If you do have any questions you want to ask the carrot counter, now is the perfect time. I do have a starter, Harry. Why do they call you the carrot counter?
There's two reasons. Well, three. I love carrots. I have red hair and I'm an accountant, so it's a bit of a play on the old bean counter, so the carrot counter.
Did you mint the red hair on the bumpkins when that became available?
Absolutely. I do need to update this photo that you're seeing now, but my current bumpkin has the red hair for sure. It is the best hairstyle in the business.
Just post a little screenshot, a picture of yourself, mate.
I need
Harry,
to.
he was more behind the scenes because he was kind of moonlighting, working for other companies before, and hence we couldn't really show his face too much. It was a little bit of a getting his sneaky help, but now, what can we expect, mate? When can people speak with you? When can they see your lovely face?
Yeah, I'd love to start getting on some of the live streams, and just getting more involved with the community. I'd love to get to know a lot of you a lot closer. So whether that be here in Discord, I also just love gaming, PS5. Any of you guys want to hang out and also talk about Sunflower Land? Let's do it.
I think Harry's the man. If you have some good questions about our roadmap or onboarding,
Is he married?
legal accounting, is he married?
Yes, I just recently celebrated my 1 year anniversary, actually.
And now he's committed to Sunflower Land.
And now married to Sunflower Land.
Yeah, mate. Do you want to give a little bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, sure.
What you're in for.
Yeah, so for the confusion, so I am the carrot counter. I'm Harry, but everyone knows me as Haz or Hazza, in the team and amongst my friendship group. I come from an accounting and law background, but extremely passionate about Web3, NFTs. Been a long time player of Sunflower Land. I was there from the very start, and I just have been obsessed with this game like the rest of you. So excited for the potential that this game still has to grow into, and really looking to be, you know, broadening this community amongst the rest of the world.
Well put, mate. A few people coming in saying hi, Carrot. Hey, the Zapdos, one of the community artists. The team's growing. I do feel like we need to get some brighter orange hair for the bumpkins, mate. The red hair's a nice start, but we'll get a tinge that matches your perfect hair because it is a sight to see.
Let's do it.
You beauty. All right. I think we'll sort of get into this today. We're just going to cover some of the community initiatives that are going on. We're going to talk about Treasure Island, which is this really cool feature that we're building. Spencer is so deep into that right now that he said he's not going to join this voice chat because he's just deep in the weeds. And then we're just going to answer a few questions and catch up with you all. Craig, Hanor, what's new this week? What have you been working on?
I'll parry that to you, Hanor.
Yeah, so this week we have been working on, we have been finalizing the treasures a person can actually win while digging holes, while digging the land in the treasure island. I have been pairing with Craig for the past 2 days, and it has been really, really nice. We have made a solid progress over there, and I can see this feature live very, very near in the future.
Yeah, I think there's some amazing progress going on that. What's been exciting so far building? What are you looking forward to most?
I guess watching this play end to end live is something that I'm really excited about. Craig and I have been working on the back end part, and Spencer and Romy were really crushing the front end part. So really watching that feature, or trying that feature from end to end on testing environment, it's really something I'm really looking forward to it, because a lot of thought has gone into that how this feature should work. We have really nice charts over the period of 2 weeks. We pivoted from one solution to another solution, and I guess we landed on one of the best solutions possible for a treasure island. And seeing that particular solution in action is something I'm really excited to looking forward to.
I was sitting next to Spencer yesterday when he was working on Treasure Island, and he's working on that part where you can click all over the sand to dig treasure. And I think I watched him for like 10 or 11, maybe even more digs in a row. And I didn't get bored. I wanted to take his laptop off him and just keep clicking. There's something really satisfying about trying to find where that treasure is. And he just kept burning resources to get shovels because he just wanted to search every hole.
I guess the way it has been designed, it is certainly really addictive. Once the users start with this feature, it's really addictive because it's like a guessing game, and that guessing game or gambling games are often addictive. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to trying it myself.
I think we had some really interesting thoughts about how we can keep some of this data secret, which is for the coders and the technically inclined people. We had this really interesting problem with treasure is that you can find some really rare rewards in there. And so we had to make sure that all this data was top secret. There was no way that players could abuse this solution. And I'm super happy with this with this solution that we came up with. We won't speak too much about the security, but we almost implemented a new security concept, which we're going to start using in different parts of the app, just to sort of strengthen other features that we have as well. Craig, I saw you jumped off mute then. Did you want to jump in?
You got sharp eyes. Yeah, it is a new feature. A lot of developers probably, I mean, everybody's seen it in Farmers Chat. I've seen people ask, "What is my next expansion?" You know, and then someone goes, "Oh, your next expansion is this." So people have sort of worked out how to see in the future a little bit. So I think it's just reiterating what you said. It was super hard to build or to think to design a solution that would allow the game to still feel snappy in the same way. Like right now, when you cut a tree, you immediately get the reward. There's no delay at all. To design a solution that felt just as snappy, but didn't allow people to see in the future, because, like as you say, the rewards are very rare, some of them, and we don't want people being able to see in the future of what those rewards are. So that new mechanic is super, super exciting, and I can just see so much potential for it. And it's just it's a really hard problem just to balance the user experience with, stopping people from exploiting it. Yeah, so very, very, very cool. I'm sure that the coders will try and pick it apart. I challenge you to. Yeah.
I think it's the best thing that we have a lot of, when it comes to coding and exploits and hackers, there's what's called white hackers. And these are essentially the white hat hackers. They are good hackers. They're people that are trying to help you. And I'd say 99.99% of people in this community are that sort. And so there'll be people like Grant T, I know for sure, that's going to go in straight away and try break this and then give us details about how we can sort of improve it. But that's a big challenge you've just opened up to the coders, Craig. I hope we didn't open up Pandora's box there and something else gets discovered.
Well, I suppose, so let's say the best case scenario is it is the white hat hackers who find any issues. We can patch it up before it goes live. I don't think there's going to be issues though. We've had to plan with that in mind. We've had to design with that in mind from the very, very start, from the conception of this feature. So, maybe famous last words. Granty said in the chat, don't forget to record this so I can listen later. Famous last words, but I think that we have done a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry. This should be up on YouTube tomorrow.
Yeah.
On the other side of Treasure Island is we not only have developers working full-time on this, but we actually have artists, and some of them are in the chat right now. I know Little Einstein is here. They're part of one of our contracted artists, and they've done some amazing work this week on some Bumpkin Pirate NFTs, wearables, cool items to place on your land as well. On the other side of that, the community. There's been about 5 or 6 items over the past week that the community has designed that you can find at Treasure Island. These are things like the Pirate Cake, which gives you 3,000 SFL. Things like Pearls Pippies, which is an Australian shell, and a bunch of other cool things. I think we've got seaweed. All these items you can trade for SFL as well. So they're things that you definitely want to find when you're digging up there. I'm just going to go through here. I was looking at some of these items before and just share you. Little Einstein, I think you are listening right now. I was showing some awesome pirate bumpkins this morning. And so I'm just going to take a little screenshot of this one here and give the people listening or watching in the Farmers Chat just a little sneak peek of one of the pirates. what I love most about this artist group that we have is their job isn't getting given requirements and just coming up with art and whatnot. It's about 50-50, which is they take requirements, they do designs. The other half is that they have creative freedom to come up with quests, to come up with brand new items, really cool mechanics. And so I was chatting with them. I was chatting with Gabby this morning, and that team came up with this really cool idea of finding treasure chest keys while digging. And those keys will give you access to open treasure chests that are scattered throughout Sunflower Land. They also had this idea that you can talk to these pirates, collect treasure map pieces, and unlock new areas to explore as well. And so I'm just super excited and super pleased. They're only about 2 weeks in since they started this contracting work, but they're doing some really incredible stuff. And of course, they've got a lot of ideas, but they still need the rest of the community artists to help them out. But it just feels so great because we didn't used to have the amount of time and attention that we could help out with the community artists to like take on ideas and go through them and whatnot. Now that we have these artists contracting, we're already seeing that like the quality of art and the submissions that it's going to come through, not only from those people contracting, but the community that they're collaborating with, is just going to skyrocket. So I'm super excited. I saw these designs and I'm like, I can't wait to get these bumpkins. You may have noticed that there was actually blue skin on these bumpkins. And so that is going to be a new potion that is going to be available only through completing Treasure Island quests. Will you be able to find this? I think they're calling it a pirate potion or the scurvy potion, that you drink it and your bumpkin gets scurvy. Your teeth start rotting and your skin goes pale. So really some awesome ideas that are coming through from that group. I don't want to speak too early, but I'm going to say this is the best feature yet in Sunflower Land. What would you guys say?
I'm blown away by this design. I'm still in shock. They look so awesome. I'm so excited to have another potion coming. So it's going to look so good on OpenSea. For anyone who's listening, this is the first time I've seen this, and they look awesome. Super, super cool. I think this is going to add a lot to the feature itself.
Yeah, and for those listening, there's a lot of fire emojis that are covering these bumpkin pirates that have just been designed. And this is Little Einstein, who designed these, one of our community artists who became a contracted artist, so please show them some love. They're doing incredible work. And yeah, some other exciting news is that the fruit quest, that will begin soon as well. So that group has finalized the touches on the fruit wearables that you can collect through picking fruit in the game. So keep a close eye on that. You'll be able to, they're essentially free bumpkin mints once you harvest a certain amount of fruit. The cool thing about these ones is that when you collect the fruit apron, that will actually give you a boost to collecting fruit. So far, a lot of these ones in the game, they've just been cosmetic bumpkin wearables. But we want to release items, bumpkin wearables that actually give you buffs that you don't get these just from a bumpkins.io drop, but you get these through gameplay. So it's the people actually putting in effort, collecting fruit, that those are the ones that get the buffs from these wearables. What else has been on our plate over the past week? Any exciting side projects or community initiatives you guys want to talk about?
I made good progress on the bumpkin naming service last Friday, which I'm excited to share. I'll work on it again this Friday. which it turns out that the Ethereum name service is they've actually got just an instructional guide, a tutorial on how to deploy it onto a private chain. So it looks like I'll be able to reuse a lot of the smart contracts directly from ENS, which is going to be amazing if it all works. It's going to be super cool to be able to leverage that and have a proper full naming service for those bumpkins. So I'm been very excited on that front. I'm actually really looking forward to Friday to get back into that. You know, my fingers are itching at the keyboard, waiting to get back into that. So yeah, that's super exciting. There's also been some interesting proposals around and just chats in general, to be honest, around user onboarding. I don't know if anyone in the farmers chat was listening to Steve's. He did a Twitter space with Polygon and Sequence this morning, or this morning for my time, and they talked a bit about Web3 onboarding, and internally we've talked about Web3 onboarding, and there's also a GitHub proposal around a tutorial for onboarding. There's a lot of really exciting stuff happening in the onboarding space. It's super hot in the crypto world right now. I think that's going to be the next, or a big part of the next bull run is Web 2 to Web 3 kind of onboarding. There's nothing. We're not working on anything concrete right now, but there's been a lot of discussion, and I think it's just worth mentioning that that's on our radar. If you have friends, the players, if you've got friends who are trying to join, you may have experienced it's a little bit hard to get people on board right now. So I'm really excited to see in the next 6 months what we do with onboarding as well.
I'm so excited about that. We actually had this chat with the engineers in the first week, just looking at what are these technical initiatives, how are we going to structure this year. We've obviously got features that we're going to continue working on, new content for the gamers. But we looked at a high level, what do we want to do behind the scenes? And sort of boiled down to Q1. This was all about onboarding. So making sure we have this really smooth, whether it's an on-ramp, whether it's a setting up your wallet experience, that's a big part of it. But also making sure that when you are playing the game, the progression feels balanced. So you're not rage quitting after 4 days because it gets too difficult. And making sure that we have enough milestones for players. Main ones being leveling and expansions. But we're also going to add a bunch more utility items that you can craft at Helios that have unlimited supply and give you boosts in game. We're still going through the game design process on that, but that's kind of like things like sprinklers and tractors and whatnot. And same with buildings as well. So we want to add a bunch more buildings which give you buffs and utility in the game. And the really good thing about not doing these through Goblin Retreat is that new players will always have something to strive towards. Right now, a common issue that gets raised from new players is that there's no items to craft. It's kind of, you need to be playing the game for 2 or 3 months to be able to afford one of these auctioneer items. And it's a bit sad by the time you do get to that level or you have enough resources, all those items are sold out. And so we're going to make sure that we've got enough gameplay in there. And so that's Q1 at sort of a high level, is really improving the onboarding of wallets, getting set up with the game, and making sure that it's a really fun, engaging progression that keeps people playing. And so, yeah, I think what Craig says in around the sort of wallet onboarding is it's going to be a huge talking point. You're going to hear us keep talking about this over the next couple of months. And it's the biggest thing. If you want to bring on new players, you got to make sure that it's as smooth as possible. People might have seen my tweet as well. I did this morning, I think it was, or yesterday. Hanor, he is working on a PWA feature Anor, I know you don't have Twitter, so I didn't tag you in it, so I don't know if you've seen it. But that tweet alone has got like 116 likes. So people are super hyped up about this side project you're working on. Do you want to give a little bit of an explanation about what it is?
Yeah, sure. Like I'm really excited and something that, was on in the back of my mind to do it for a past couple of weeks. Is that I'm adding a new functionality in the application, which is a PWA application. So with once that is done, so you will be able to install the Sunflower Land as an mobile app in your iOS and Android. And not only in the mobile, you can also install it as a desktop app. So that greatly enhances the user experience because then you won't have to go to the MetaMask browser in order to open the application. So a PWA also streamlines the connection or the transactional nature between this MetaMask and the application. So yeah, having an app in the phone really enhances the user experience, and I'm really excited for that.
Even on desktop, it's amazing, mate. You get this full screen mode. You get this little icon sitting down. I'm on a Mac, so it's in my Docker bar at the moment. It gives that native feel, and web's great, and we harness that technology. But something about a packaged and contained app for usability just feels so right for a game.
Yeah, definitely. And it feels like a native app. And yeah, because going into the MetaMask and opening it as in the browser in the application, I guess, yeah, that this native app experience is much better than that.
I love it, mate. I love it. And I don't know if you saw, did you see the tweet that I posted?
Yeah, I'm actually opening up your handle.
So yeah, people were going crazy for this. This is essentially a segue to if we do an app store app, that will come later. But a PWA means that we don't even have to get listed on the App Store, which we all know there's a few crypto regulations involved in that. Players can actually just install this to the home screen from the website and then just access it through there, which is awesome. It really makes it a much more enjoyable experience for users. And the good thing is, once we do go for an iOS app or a Google Play app, is that we've already done a lot of work to support the infrastructure and the way that the game should work as an application. So you're paving the way for the future of the game, mate. It is really cool stuff that you're working on.
Yeah, thank you. And it's like I just open up the tweet, and it's feels so good to see that people are so excited about this. And responses like this really motivate me in order to go a step further in order to think about what would be the best for the users. So yeah, thanks for showering all this love on this amazing tweet.
I'll just jump into the farmers chat and see if there's any questions around the PWA's question. Will a PWA work on iPhone? Yes, it'll work on iPhone and Android. The PWA has been a tech that has been supported for about the past 4 or 5 years. Probably well supported in the last three years across all mobiles at the moment. Anor, awesome, fire. That was I think that's the theme right now. So,
Yeah.
Alandria has said, cows first, they provide proof of stake. I don't know. We can't acknowledge that. That's well done. Can you use a PWA, and is there a potential for it to integrate with two-factor authentication for security? We could integrate with two-factor authentication if we wanted to. It's pretty interesting. The tech that we have right now is that we require private, secure user authentication And then the smart contracts also require this extra layer of wallet authentication. So we kind of got 2 steps in our security right now, but adding an extra factor, we definitely could. I think if we do provide just like social wallet logins, the 2-factor does make sense there. We kind of, if you're using a hardware wallet, that's kind of like the extreme security as well. So we'll see how we go, but the 2-factor, that's not a PWA specific thing. We could just implement that anytime with our current architecture.
I think Steve might have also replied to you, Goliath Rules, on Twitter. I saw Steve post and tag you in it. So if you haven't looked at that, definitely check it out. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I think in other news, I was just on OpenSea and I saw that over 3,000 Maneki Nekos have been minted. So a lot of people are working hard for the Chinese New Year's event. I'm glad you've got your kid in. Post a comment. What food has everyone found? This is a really cool SFT you can craft. It's unlike every other one that we've done before. You can actually shake its paw once a day and it gives you a free piece of food. That food may be something very basic, or it might be something as good as a cake. And so this all depends on luck each day. But I love it because it's something we haven't done before. And we want to do a lot more game mechanics and items that aren't the typical sort of buffs that we got going. If you haven't got this cat already, there's only a few more days left in the Lunar New Year's event. So you got to make sure you're collecting those red envelopes, because once that event ends, you'll never be able to craft this item again. And if your bumpkin's hungry, which most of them are, you're going to want one of these cats. It's essentially free food that you get just by visiting that SFT each day and interacting with it. Craig, Hanor, Brandon, Harry, have you guys got your cat yet?
Still working on it, Adam.
Yeah, me too, still working on that.
I've got enough envelopes, but I'm actually waiting until I can get the dragon mask minted, just because that doesn't burn the envelopes while the cat does.
How many envelopes do you have, Brendan? I'm curious because I'm also going for envelopes and I'm worried I'm not going to get enough for the line mask.
I've got 88 right now, and I've got another like hour. Yeah, 2.5 hours on my parsnip, so I'll have another batch then.
Okay, I'm hoping, because sunflowers is the last day, I'm hoping that if I grind sunflowers on the last day, I might be able to make up any residual packets.
Yeah, I went pretty hard on the first day, and I went pretty hard on the wood too. Kind of took a break on the potatoes just because that's a little bit too engaging for me. But I do have mutant parsnips, so I can farm those parsnips twice as fast and get, more envelopes.
Nice. Yeah, I got to do a disclaimer. Romy and I cheated during this Lunar event. We had to give ourselves a bunch of red envelopes at the start just to make sure that the event was working, which is good because we get these items, but it's bad because we don't get to experience the journey getting these items, which is what it's all about.
Don't worry, mate. We'll be able to tell you all about it.
Spencer, he minted the cat before going for the lion mask because he didn't realize that the bumpkin wearable quests, they don't burn your red envelopes. It's just when you craft an item that it burns it.
Yeah, definitely. It was interesting. I actually read that on the docs. It was on the docs, and I was like, oh, that's that's a gotcha. But I'm also keeping an eye on the cat because I'm also concerned that there's going to be a lot of people doing what I'm doing, which is going for the mask and then going to mint the cat. So I'm just keeping an eye on the cat. If the supply gets low, I'll get the cat first, and then if I can't get the mask, well, so be it. But yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on that supply, because you never know what's going to happen. If once people start going crazy for the mint, you never know.
Yeah, it'll be a mad rush.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely seems like people are really enjoying this event. There's been a lot of positive feedback about it. Some people are even saying it's too easy, so maybe they got a little bit too used to the Christmas event. But one thing I would like to see if we do future events like this, would it be possible for the Bumpkin wearables to remember how many envelopes you had whenever you burn them to mint an NFT? Just so you don't kind of miss out on that progress?
I think we could. It all depends. So it's all based on our analytics, which are stored on the blockchain. In this case here, I don't think we have if there was an analytic event called red envelope found, we could check to see how many red envelopes were found instead of checking how many's in their inventory. But in this case here, I don't think we were tracking that event. But it's a good idea. Going forward when we're doing quests, we could add in like a Valentine's Day card minted or something like that and keep track of that instead of how many they actually have in their inventory.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
I think worth touching on at the moment is sort of the roadmap and when we're looking at things right now. We're working on Treasure Island at the moment. We're looking definite for some internal testing, which is core team on Treasure Island on mainnet. It'd be nice. Hopefully we can get beta testing going for the moderators, the open source developers and artists end of next week. If not, probably Monday or Tuesday, and then release once that's all going smoothly. There's a lot of things that's on our plate right now, and there's a lot of things that the community are looking forward to. There's things like the land re-rolls, skill resets, people are waiting for multiple bumpkins as well. And lately we've been prioritizing these, thinking about what the best ones to work on are. And if you do head over to our GitHub, which is sort of our public roadmap, I'll just drop a link here. Right now, we're looking at focusing on these wearables being sent to your island incorrectly issue. There's quite a number of players which have accidentally sent bumpkin wearables to their farm. As part of this initiative, we're just not going to fix those people that accidentally sent those back. We're going to make that deposit experience a lot smoother for players. And so instead of sending items, anything to an address, we're actually going to try build a little UI, UX experience where you can deposit items from your wallet, select those, and then send them to your farm. So there's a lot less chance because you'll never see that farm address that you'll accidentally send something incorrect to that. Following that, we are going to look into multiple bumpkins. So placing multiple bumpkins onto your land and getting any utility from them. So right now you're limited. If you have multiple tools, bumpkin tools that have utility, you can only wear one of them at one point. And so we're going to enable that you can actually have multiple different tools on multiple different bumpkins and place those on your land. Following that, we want to look at the progression improvements. And so we did mention before that a big part of this quarter is making sure the onboarding is very smooth. So this encapsulates an improved tutorial, but also adding a bunch of items that players can craft to get boost on their land. So giving milestones and items for players to look forward to. And those were sort of the sprinklers, the tractors, it could be like lumberjacks, quarries. We'll get a bunch of ideas from the community, but adding a lot of these items into the game that you can craft, add onto your island and whatnot. And part of this as well is fixing the expansion requirements and progression system there. There's still quite a few people that have a very small amount of iron or gold nodes compared to others. And so we're going to focus on making that a lot smoother, ensuring that doesn't happen again, and balancing it out from a game design perspective. So making sure that new players are progressing at the rate that we want and are engaging enough. All of those said is just to make sure people stick around for longer and they have a funner time playing the game. And so those are the next 3 items that we are looking at. Just below that, we've got Magic Beans, Skill Reset, Fishing, and Cows. So definitely some really big items coming there as well. Before we jumped back into these big content features, we just wanted to make sure that we were smoothing over the current game, giving enough love to what we already have, and really improving that experience before just pumping out more content. So I know if you're excited for Magic Beans, Skill Resets, and Fishing, those features are coming. We've just got these improvements that we need to make to the current game before we can move on to those. Is there anything you guys wanted to add to that roadmap? Sort of some reasoning. I think we bought the multiple bumpkins and the progression improvements were below Magic Beans before, and we brought them up because of those reasons we just talked about. Anything you guys want to add to that?
There's nothing I want to add. It's just unfortunately it's a necessity that we need to prioritize. In a perfect world, we would be able to build everything. I think there's so many cool features that are just waiting to be built. It's literally an abundance of features. We are not looking for work in a way. I wish that we could just have all of them. It's not feasible. We just don't have the resources to build everything. And even if we did have like a big stack of developers, that's not how software development works. More developers doesn't mean more output at all. I just wish that we were able to work on it all at the same time, because there's just so many cool different features that all are exciting in their own ways. It's really hard to do this prioritization, but we have to do what's right for the game.
Definitely. And I think the really good thing is that Fruit has a lot of engagement and has a long runway. We're going to have these bumpkin fruit quests that become available. Treasure Island's going to be coming available. There's going to be Treasure Island quests as well that become available. So it's not like there's going to be a lack of content. Some players might be asking us to slow down. And so this was a perfect time for us to go back and work on these other improvements in the game. So there's not going to be a slowdown of features. There's always going to be some really cool things that are coming up and for you to do.
That's true, actually. It's a good point that you actually mentioned that. There is a lot of content that is basically existing, right? It's there already. We have like a backlog of content in a way. So it's definitely not going to be boring. I mean, right now it's crazy. There are so many. There's so much going on. It's hard to know what to aim for. And there's so much coming up as well. So definitely not going to be a shortage of content.
I noticed it because we started adding those weekly news into the in-game announcements, and I was always like, oh, what are we going to write about this? And then it ended up being like, what should we include in these weekly announcements and what shouldn't we? There's just so much happening each week. It's exciting. It feels good to be back in this state where we get to release a lot of cool features when we're sort of in the dark for 6 months building out land expansion and whatnot. This is a lot more enjoyable.
Definitely. Oh yeah, when I read the announcement, it was like off the page basically of the announcements window. Like there was no more space in that pop-up.
Can't stop, won't stop. Alrighty. Is there any other questions from the community, or is there anyone that wanted to jump on stage and have a discussion. If you're interested in coming up and chatting about anything, raise your hand and we'll bring you on board.
There is one thing I'd like to say real quick as well. I know a lot of you all have been curious about where Steve is and how he's doing. He actually accomplished something pretty awesome in the last couple of days. Well, it came out in the last couple of days, but he's been working on it for a while. So I'll post a link here in Farmers Chat. There was an announcement about it earlier, but I do just want to add a little bit more context as to why it is as awesome as it is. So we are the first Web3 game to have been published in IGN. They generally try to stay away from Web3 projects. One of the writers for IGN is actually a fan of Sunflowerland, and he was able to convince the upper people that, you know, you're not going to be able to stop progress. Web3's coming, whether people like it or not. And they gave him the green light to write a review on Sunflowerland. I believe it's in Slovenian, but if you have a translator extension, you can translate it to English. There should be an English version coming later. And I just think that that's a huge milestone achievement, both for Web3 in general, as well as Sunflowerland, to be, you know, have a published review on a mainstream gaming website like this is just fantastic.
It's pretty incredible, isn't it? And it's a nice segue that once we can use that to sort of jump into other traditional Web2 gaming sites and whatnot. Which isn't a short feat. First crypto game in there, which is incredible. I think it's a testament to all the hard work that everyone's been putting in. A question just did pop up is, any way I can hear the whole conversation later? Yes, Brandon's recording this now and we will upload something to YouTube. This will be the first one that we actually upload to YouTube. The other ones we recorded, but we couldn't figure it all out.
Yeah, and I have already found a couple of things out that I could be doing better, so apologies in advance. I'll make some improvements in the next one.
We've lost Brandon. We may as well bring up someone and keep us company. So I'll invite you up here. So I've just invited you to speak Goliath Rules. If you want to accept that, you'll be able to. There we go. Welcome.
All right. Know how to click a button. Awesome. Hey, so I got a fundamental question on the shovel. So the rusty shovel.
Yep.
So one thing that, you know, is going on with the islands is people like to kind of do the designs and kind of move stuff around and all that kind of stuff and that. And I guess, is it possible to have a shovel that would just be no cost? Like, I mean, if I want to move stuff around, I feel like I should be able to just kind of just click on it and just get it off the island and put it back down on that. And I'm not sure why there's a charge for it. I guess that's my thought. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I definitely see the game going more towards like designing a really nice island, and that's going to be such a huge part that you spend your day farming, getting really cool items and constantly decorating and moving around.
Yeah.
Initially it was just to provide a good SFL burn, and I think it did make sense when you had a limited amount of items. But this direction we're going, where you see people's lands and there's like some of them have 100 items on them. It's just not. It's not realistic to have to pay SFL and burn to move things around. It's great having a little SFL burn and a sink in there, which sort of takes away SFL from the overall supply.
Yeah.
But it's becoming too much. So we will make some adjustments to this, either lessening the price or removing that price completely. Do you think there's a price point that you would be happy paying to move things around, even if it was a
If
very
it,
small fee or a
yeah,
one-off
if it was
fee?
less, if it was less, I'd be fine with it. I just felt like it's the same level as like an axe, and it feels kind of painful at that level. And that because the whole purpose that I'm buying the shovel is to kind of move stuff around and try to pretty stuff up and that, and that's not really a functional thing. Like the axe is a functional thing where you actually get a resource, whereas the shovel is just kind of more utility as far as like trying to do design and stuff like that. I do think, though, I will say this. I think that if you all implement a process by which you can move plots or rocks or trees, that should have a little bit more of a cost to it, right? That I think that would be fair. Maybe. But in the end, I mean, I think if it was less than the axe, I think I'd be a little happier. So that's my thought.
Yeah, I hear you there. I think the whole team agrees that it's getting a little bit too expensive to move items around, especially with this upcoming initiative. We talked about progression improvements. There's going to be a lot more things to craft and a lot more things to place. And at that point, you're just going to be running out of SFL when you want to start moving things around.
Yeah. There was actually a comment in the chat. It says, how about for moving stuff, like maybe there's a different shovel or something like that, like an old shovel or something like that that doesn't break. And that's just specifically only for moving things that you've placed. Maybe that's a way of looking at it.
Yeah, that's an interesting way. There's a few good questions here. I don't want to address. You did mention what we call the landscaping shovel, which allows you to move plots, trees, stones, and whatnot. There will be quite a significant price involved in that. We're not sure what it will be yet. The reason being is that we want to introduce some area of impact items. So a sprinkler is a good example of that, which you can place it near your plots, but you obviously want to group all of your plots together. Similar to, say, a lumberjack, you want that to be near your trees to give that boost to as many trees as possible. And so it's going to have quite a significant impact on what you can gather in a day. So that landscaping shovel will be quite a bit more. We've actually built a POC around that. We figured out how to move resources and whatnot. I was chatting with Craig early this week. We're hoping to tack that same sort of initiative into our progression improvements. So being able to move plots and trees and whatnot as well. That'd be really nice to bundle in there because that's a often requested feature, and I'm honestly a bit sick and tired of seeing these farms which are just dumping grounds for SFTs. I want to see the creativity and cool ideas people can come up with once they start moving the natural resources around.
Yeah. I'm right now I'm moving around. I'm almost up to land 10, and I would like to move stuff around, but I kind of want to wait until I get towards the end. That's my thought. So right now mine's kind of messy still. Yeah, I do like the fact, like, if you did it, you could design it where things look like a proper orchard and stuff like that. That'd be pretty cool. And I didn't even know about the sprinklers. Sprinklers are pretty cool. That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, there's going to be really nice decorations. And I think we're looking at someone's multiple players' farms. We don't have fences yet. And so people are using potted sunflowers and golden bonsais as the fences on their land. So there's clearly a desire for people to design them in a unique way. So I think that'll be a feature that people would be super happy to see. Some great questions as well. Can we reduce the cooldown time for building some NFTs when we place them again? The reason that there is a cooldown on certain items is to prevent players from abusing them. A good example is the Maneki Neko, which once you shake its paw, you need to wait 24 hours before you can collect again. If we didn't have that cooldown, you could essentially remove your Maneki Neko and then place it again and then claim that reward instantly. The same goes with things like I think it's the Foreman Beaver, where you can chop trees instantly. we need to have that cooldown to prevent people from chopping all their trees on one farm, withdrawing the foreman beaver, sending it to one of their friends, who then instantly chops all their trees on the farm. So there's actually a lot of SFTs don't have any cooldown. Those are the ones that can't be abused by players. The ones that do have a cooldown, those are ones that can be abused by someone who just wants to withdraw, send to a friend, or just place again to get that buff. I hope that answers sort of the question and gives a bit of clarity why there's a cooldown. It's not to make it tougher for players. It's just to prevent people from abusing that mechanic. And so we've got one really good example from Neon, who just posted the golden bonsai fence that they have around their island. That actually looks beautiful. And the way they've laid out their land, the wells together, the chickens around the edges, that's a beautiful island. And so these sort of people, once we can move resources and add more decorations and whatnot, I'm excited to see what they can come up with. Sorry, Craig, I cut you off then.
No, you're all good. I just saw Polymouse commented around moving the SFTs rather than removing them. Yeah, I think it is a good idea. It's been suggested like a few times, like if it's not actually being taken off the farm, it's just moving. It just takes coding time to basically build it, and also make sure the user experience makes sense. Like players know the difference between when they're removing versus moving. But I think that does make a lot of sense, especially for things like if you're moving a foreman beaver. Yeah, it is a good idea. There's a question here about when will Golem be fixed on OpenSea. I'm trying to work on that. I'm sorry that those have not been tradable. It's a bit of a hairy issue, so yeah, just bear with me. Basically, is all I can give you right now. I've been asking OpenSea on Twitter. I've been constantly raising tickets with them, just going for like the spray and pray kind of approach. Eventually, hopefully one of them will stick. If I roll a 6, maybe one of the tickets will get support. It's been a pretty tiring experience, honestly. But I'm just hoping that there'll be a resolution. Yeah, so just bear with me on that. I don't have any ETA because we need, some level of support from something out of our control. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's OpenSea. They're a bit slack on the developer relations, but we'll get there. Did you guys just see what was posted from one of the moderators, S2LKR? Their island is incredible. The love heart that they made with the golden bonsai around the rare boulder. It's pretty crazy because I never pictured the people stacking bonsais like this, but they've actually become this rare decoration to use as fences and to highlight things on your farm, which is my favorite thing about this game. Is we don't design the game to be played like this, but players just create their own rules because there's so much flexibility in it.
Alright, I am back now, guys. Sorry about that. I tried to check on my phone to see if anybody had their hand raised so I wouldn't mess up the recording, and Discord did not like that. We do have AxiFan1 with their hand raised, so I'll go ahead and pull you up to stage.
Yeah, I think we've got about 5 minutes left on this stream for people listening in. We got to get back to building Treasure Island.
Yeah, so AxiFan, I've sent you an invite. If you just want to go ahead and accept that, you can come up and ask your questions or leave a comment.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Hi guys. I've already made the comment. My sincere apologies. I made an outburst the other day when I got bad rolls. But honestly, the more I play the game, more I like it. It's a very good team. You guys are doing fantastic work. There's so many permutation combinations in this game, and the kind of work you're doing is fantastic. So my sincere apologies that I lost it when I got real bad rolls in the land expansion. That's all I wanted to say, guys.
Thank you very much for coming up and those kind words. Though that's amazing to hear. Thank you very much. I feel that frustration with bad land rolls as well, and I think it's a common one in the community. And it's what we're going to work on. It's one of those items that's coming up in the short term. So fingers crossed, you just get some great land expansion rolls from here on out.
Sure, guys. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. I think that
Thanks
will
for coming up.
wrap us up today. There is a few questions around when you land expansions and levels. Levels is very easy for us to add. We do got to balance the skill points. Good thing that the person that asked that question is Decol, and they actually help us with a lot of the game balancing. So I think the question should be to you, Decol. When new levels, we're waiting for you. When it comes to land expansions, we can do the same with land expansions. Our game can definitely support more, and the next few ones will be fruit related. It's one of these things, we know that we're going to redesign the expansion requirements and the resources that pop up on each level as part of that progression improvements. And each new expansion that we add now makes it more complex for us to redesign and balance and improve the system in the future. We definitely will add some more expansions before we get to that progression improvements. I guess that's a little bit of context why we're hesitant from not just adding an extra 50 land expansions in the time being. But yeah, we know there's people that have maxed out their farms, and we'll add a few more on there for you to keep expanding and growing your bumpkins. So we've got one last question here from Goliath Rules. Can the board actually expand even larger outside the current borders? Yes, and it likely will one day. We'll have to figure out something once it hits the sand islands and that little cliff. But I think it's always been our vision that if you're playing the game for 3 years, you've got 50 land expansions or even more. So we went this whole approach of land expansions, so there always would be that underlying goal that you can work towards. It's a very hypnotic game mechanic. I feel that you can just keep expanding your land and your empire, and so that is something that we do want to support. I think that's it, guys. My brain's fried. I've had a lot of meetings today. I think I'm going to have to jump off in a second. Just a huge shout out, as always, everyone who joined today. There's been some amazing questions. Thank you, everyone who came up on stage as well. It's always a pleasure. We've got a lot of things coming out. Hope you're excited for Treasure Island. I hope you're enjoying fruit and collecting your fruit. Is there any final words you guys want to add before we jump off? I reckon Rommy's not with us, so Carrot Counter, we need you to give our sentimental goodbye for this week's wrap up.
Yeah, thank you for all the kind messages in the farmers chat today. You're making me feel very welcome, and let's grow this game. We deserve it.
100x Hazard.
100x Hazard.
That's one of Harry's many nicknames, chat. That's 100x Hazard. He's going to make us go to the moon. So, yeah, stay tuned to updates from Harry.
I need a live stream Shuey to be a part of the team, apparently.
100%, mate. This Friday, 10 a.m. That'll do. That'll do the trick.
Kick off the weekend.
We could do that, mate. If you want to lock that in and That'll probably be the most streamed Twitch that we ever do. Watch our director of operations do a shoey on live stream.
Yeah, if we get enough votes around it, maybe we can put something out. I'll do it.
I don't know what shoey is, but you've got my vote.
For those that don't know, a shoey is filling a shoe up with beer and sculling it.
It's a very part of Australian tradition.
And with a VB, of course, Steve Colt.
Yeah, that
just a bit
sounds
of-
pretty Australian.
We can't help it.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. You can catch us on Twitch at the end of the week. We'll be doing some live streaming. Who knows? We might even give a sneak peek of Treasure Island before that on Twitch. So until then, we'll see you in the Discord chat and hopefully here next week as well. Yeah. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you everyone for joining, and I will
Thanks,
see
guys.
you when I see you.
Thanks
Y'all
everyone
have a
for
good day,
joining.
everyone.